Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I can see we've still got guests arriving. Come through. There's seating at the front. Thank you. We have a very busy agenda, very busy schedule today. So we're going to get cracking as soon as possible. We are live right now. We are on the air. But before we get going, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Bob DiMaso, who wants to say a few words about the Library Foundation.
Thank you, Fraser. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. My notes, I need the notes, I'm getting old here. I'm Bob DiMaso, I'm president of the Pembroke Public Library Foundation. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. The foundation was started over 12 years ago by request of the Friends of the Pembroke Library and the library trustees. The goal was to create a nonprofit to supplement the library's larger needs, such as upgrades to the audiovisual cameras. The foundation paid for all of that. But more so, to build an addition to the children's room with little or no town funds. Might disconnect you or something?
It's fine.
Okay. Little or no town funds. The original library plan allowed for expansion off to that side. Our library was designed for 20 years of growth, and it's now 26 years old, and the town has grown, the needs of the library has grown, and it's quite frankly booming. The original architect of the library has now been hired to do preliminary plans and schematics. The foundation has paid $55,000 towards that study and plans. And we're in the middle of doing it now. There's an early rendition of what's going to go on back there. The handout that you have shows some of the amazing usage of the library. The number of books taken out, number of people that attend, and a lot of people don't realize how much goes on here. I actually get a little emotional, believe it or not, each time I see parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles bringing their children in the front door to the library's programs, because I know how important that is. We've been very fortunate to have a benefactor family that has made over 10 years a commitment for a large donation. And at some point they will be recognized for their generosity in the future. We plan for a 2,500 to 2,700 square foot addition and expanding the young adult space by 50% by moving the trustee room into the new addition and making that more multifunctional, and the building 2 small quiet study areas in the front. Our library's been a beacon for our community. There's a lot more I could say, but the bottom line is, and I think you know what I'm going to say, is we need everybody's help. Construction costs have skyrocketed, and in order to complete the addition as it should be, we need to raise additional funds. Representatives Sweezy and Lenatra have tentatively secured some funds in a line item, and Senator Fernandez has funds for the library in a different line item. Nothing is guaranteed until it's done. So please donate, large or small, to the Pembroke Public Library Foundation. Post office, I sound like a TV commercial now. Post Office Box 1111. That is Post Office Box 1111, Pembroke 02359. And help continue to make the library the beacon it is today. And keeping in mind why we're here tonight, and we're saying this as a theme, today's readers become tomorrow's leaders. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bob. And thank you for altering the presentations for tonight. What do you think? Just unplug?
I think it makes that wire right there.
Oh. Nice one, Bob. You cut the cord. Technical support. Oh, we're back. Okay. So, okay. So on to the tonight's activities. So we're going to have some rules. Same rules as last year. There's some differences, though. So we're going to have the forum is going to be divided into the three categories that you saw to start with. We'll start with the Board of Health, then we'll move on to the school committee, and then the main event will be the select board. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then they'll have 5 questions. They'll have the same 5 questions, 90 seconds to answer that question. We have a change of format. We have this really silly little bell, but it makes a big noise. So we'll be ringing this bell once the time is up. Local scene actually have their finger on the pause button, and when they hear that bell, they'll be cutting the mics. So, and then each candidate will have 1 minute closing statement. So, oh, and this is new as well. If we have time, and Bob's already taken 5 minutes of your time, we will open the floor to questions. We will decide, once we hear the question, if it's a fair question for candidates that they can both answer the question. So no gotcha questions for one candidate. It's got to be a question for both candidates. Okay? So, let's start with the Board of Health. Maureen, you are the incumbent, and so we'll give you 2 minutes. Let me know when you're ready.
Is it okay if I stand?
You can sit.
Okay.
You can do.
Rather stand. I can see everyone back there.
Just remember the microphone has to be.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right, then.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. Good evening, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. My name is Maureen, Jasie, and I have served on the Pembroke Board of Health these last 3 years. I am running for re-election to continue bringing transparent, informed, and community-focused leadership to our town's public health decisions. I hold a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, a master's in public administration, and a paralegal certificate. I also have 5 years' experience in an acute care hospital setting, converting clinical ordering systems into a digital platform. I am proud to stand as your no mandate candidate. I do not support one-size-fits-all mandates and strongly advocate for personal choice and informed consent. That's why I support the proposal to remove fluoride from our water supply. It aligns with my belief that public health should empower individuals and not impose blanket solutions. Last October, the Board of Health unanimously voted to sign an IMA, an intermunicipal agreement with Rockland, Norwell, Hanover, and Marshfield to join a regional public health grant that formed an advisory board to share monies. The grant so far has gained shared public health nurse, $100,000 to begin scanning and converting to digital records, in the food inspection platform, and efforts are underway to hire a social worker. These are real gains, but I remain committed to protecting our local control, complying with open meeting laws, and keeping public. I ask for your vote on the local public Board of Health and continue to serve you all. Thank you for your time.
Very good, Maureen. I forgot to mention, we do have a paddle at the front. So the candidates will see when the clock comes down to the orange, and then they'll also have the red paddle. So well done, Maureen. That was perfectly
I was wondering
timed.
what the paddle was for. Thank you.
Okay, so Melissa, 2 minutes on the clock. Let me know when you're ready to speak.
All right, I'm ready. My name is Melissa Killham, and I first want to thank everyone for coming. I am a proud candidate for the Pembroke Board of Health. I've been an RN, a registered nurse. I have my bachelor's degree from St. Anselm College. I've been an RN for 29 years, and I've been in a leadership position for greater than 15 years. Those roles have been in education and management and a director, and along with direct clinical care. This has been my home for 24 years. I've raised a family. I have 2 young adults. I've built some great relationships and really have grown to value Pembroke's strong sense of community. But I'm not just going to do this role as an RN. I want to be our neighbor. I want to care, because I care deeply about our town, right? My personal values are to advocate for patients and families and public health initiatives. I do believe that local decisions matter, and I want our decisions to be guided by evidence, compassion, and long-term goals. So my I apologize. My key priorities are to utilize my nursing leadership skills, my collaborative approach, and to improve health and growth in the town that I've been in for 24 years. I am ready to serve. I am committed, and I believe that together we can build a healthier and stronger Pembroke. Some specifics: I do want to keep fluoride in our town's water. It is backed by strong science, and it positively affects the health of our adults and our children. I do want to reduce plastic waste. Environmental health is our public health, right? And I want to promote sustainability practices, and I hope that you will get some good questions for me so I can show you how I would like to serve Pembroke.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, on to the questions. These questions are your questions. So we received questions, quite a few. We had a committee that selected what we felt were the strongest 5 questions for the Board of Health. And so, Maureen, let's start with you. This question: describe the roles and responsibilities for the position you're running for. What's an area you feel especially well equipped for, and what's an area you need to invest more time in learning? That's for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Just wanted to read through again. The position you're running for Board of Health, I feel I'm especially equipped for because I enjoy reading legal documents, and government is dictated by legal documents. There's a lot of details in the weeds, if you will, so you need to be able to be aware of those so that you can make decisions that will guide. So I feel that would be a benefit. And what's an area I need to invest more time in learning would maybe relations between other boards within the town hall. Maybe we could build more relationship with the select board or the advisory bylaws, the sustainability committee, the conservation committee, the town administrator deals with the recycling and the waste and sanitation, so we could build more relationships with those traditional roles of the Board of Health that within our specific town government have been allocated to different department heads to work for. So our structure is a little bit different, so we could build some more ties to other departments with those issues.
Okay. Thank you, Maureen. It's the town's questions, not mine, so
they're great
address
questions.
them.
Thank you.
Okay, Melissa, would you like me to read it again, or?
Sure.
Describe the roles and responsibilities for the position you're running for. What's an area you feel especially well equipped for, and what's an area you need to invest more time in learning?
Absolutely. So I will state that as my role as a nurse leader, I have a lot of experience with regulations. I have dealt with CMS, the Department of Public Health, the Joint Commission. I know how to understand these regulations and why they benefit or could have something we need to work on in our town. When it comes to transparency, record keeping, I understand why regulations need that. I promise to uphold the communication and visibility to our town. Healthcare and disease control, I will tell you I have done that as a director of an endoscopy department. After COVID, we have had a lot of, I'm sorry, just checking the time. We have had a lot of issues getting people with to have their proper checkups, endoscopies. Hope you all have done it. If you're over 45, talk to your physicians, right? So we have been working really hard in my hospital to make sure that we can meet that need, right? So I know what it is and I have been experiencing, that when we aren't able to meet someone's need, what kind of processes do we have to change? How do we meet those regulations? And we do it interdisciplinary, and we on an interdisciplinary team, and collaboratively.
Very good. Thank you. On to question 2. The fluoride question. There's a lot of discussion about fluoride in town water supplies lately. In order to make recommendations for our town, you need to understand basics. Can you tell us what the fluoride levels need to be to start seeing negative effects, and what they were at the most recent testing of Pembroke water? Melissa.
Ooh, I'm going first. All right, that sounds good. So our water is managed by the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, and they monitor it. In 2023, we had an average of 0.83 parts per million. I believe it's a safe and effective public health initiative, and our, I said the last measurement, like I said, was 0.83. The range was between 0.74 and 0.85. The goal is 0.7. There are issues with levels greater than 2.0, and there are some EPA levels that go up to 4.0. However, ours are consistently monitored, and I would love to be able to educate people on the benefits of fluoride health. It works topically and systemically, and it protects families with no or limited access to dental care. Even those who have good dental care, they also have an additional 25% improvement if they are living in an area with properly fluoridated water.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yep.
Maureen, I believe you have something to say about this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. Indeed, fluoride was implemented in Pembroke March 17th, 1969. In the 60s, I understand from doing research that this issue was quite a hot button back then, whether or not fluoridation was going to be distributed through our nation. 70% of our nation does fluorinate water. There are many countries that don't. Us right now, actually, we are just Pembroke and Duxbury fluoridate their water. All the other surrounding towns that we're adjacent to do not, including Nantucket. There is one village within Martha's Vineyard that does it. So out of the 300 and I believe it's 51 municipalities in our Commonwealth, 120 do choose to fluoridate their water. Since November 2024, there is a group called Water Watch. They sued the U.S. government EPA. It's a federal case, and the first 6 pages of it are a summary. It's 85 pages in total because I like to read these things, right? But you only need to read the first 6 pages to get a really full picture of what science has uncovered, and I really encourage you to please revisit. If you just spent an hour Googling the effects and adverse effects, it is proven to have adverse.
Maureen, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you.
I don't want to ring the bell on you.
No, thank you. I know red now means red.
I
Do
also
I have the opportunity to respond, or no?
Well, she hasn't gone over the time yet because I stopped
I'm
her.
sorry.
That's okay. But did you answer the question, Maureen?
Can you
The
trust
question was, can you tell us what the fluoride levels need to be to start seeing a negative impact?
Yeah, okay, yes.
That was the question. I don't
apologize.
think you said that. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell us.
Okay.
Answer the question as it's written.
Yes,
But then I will give Melissa an opportunity to rebut.
fair enough.
Okay?
So 0.7 is the federal level that they say exposure is ideal for fluoridation. However, since the 60s, fluoride has now become prevalent in most toothpaste. It's prevalent in food, and its accessibility and access to dental care has increased. And so that curve of access to fluoride at 0.7, we risk overexposure, and that's where you go into adverse effects. The 2020 water testing for Pembroke, you will see a trend of increase of fluoride to the 2023 results. I can't quote you the 2023. 2020 numbers are low to 23. There is an increase in fluoride.
So I think that's answered the question.
Okay.
Melissa, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, I would.
Or do you want to bank your minutes?
Oh, like debate?
No, you don't.
I didn't know there was a strategy here. No. So we have done this since 1969, and honestly, since then, we have had adults been able to maintain their own dentition, right? So people are able to keep their health. Oral health can affect cardiac disease, strokes, inflammation. And when you ask what levels does it become dangerous, it's usually greater than 2.0 or 2.0. We are 1.83. There's been one study in 2024 that I think said the levels were 1.7 to have safety. But I just would like to explain that you would have to drink as a 155-pound gentleman. You would have to drink, it's actually you are unable to drink the amount of water to have it have negative effects or toxic effects on your body. There has been a study. Oh,
I'm going to stop you now.
Okay.
'Cause I think you had equal time.
Yep, that's fine.
But the town does want to know. You want to ban fluoride?
I want the town to be delivered a new opportunity to revisit their decision from 1969
But you would
and have
have-
an informed consent.
Okay, but you would remove fluoride
I
from the
personally would
water.
not like to, I'd like to be more controlled over if I take it.
And you wouldn't remove fluoride from the water?
No, it costs $10,500 a year, and we have about 7,173 housing units, so it's a less than $1 per household while we improve 25% outcomes.
Personally speaking, I don't think it's about cost.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I
about
know.
health, but-
Well, I personally don't think so too, but some people do
Okay.
think, where's our money going to, and what is
So
it
that's
doing?
great. We've got to move on. Are there people talking in the background? Okay, I'll keep an eye on things. Sorry, apologies. Thank you for that. Let's go to question 3. Describe the I'm going to start again. I've got to read from the cards. Describe the position you had on face masking the general public during the early COVID times. Under what conditions would you require masking in Pembroke in the future, if at all? Maureen.
I think everyone knows I am strong, I strongly oppose mask mandates. I will never, ever vote for any mask mandating. I'm pretty black and white on that. That's how I feel.
Okay.
I have more time, I
No,
guess?
you don't.
Okay,
I've taken it away from you.
I'll take it.
We have to get going. We got other
Okay.
candidates.
Yes,
So
sir.
Melissa, your time.
I'm still on the clock. Okay,
Yeah.
certainly. So I was a registered nurse during 2 waves of the pandemic at a safety net hospital. It was one of the hardest hit communities, and we wore masks. It was unfortunate at the beginning that we did not have the supply that we needed. As things became available, we continued to allow people to vaccinate. It was choice and consent, and we encouraged us as nurses, although it may be uncomfortable, to wear masks to protect others, right? It doesn't just protect yourself, you're protecting others. It has been shown to be an effective barrier. We do it all the time. We use personal protective equipment, and that is science that we use in healthcare. When it comes to mandates, honestly, nurses do not always like to mandate anything, right? Our goal is to educate. And if we educate with the right information and good research, we hope there will be compliance. Forced compliance is, many people react to that, and they kind of lose the science in that. I understand the concerns about facial coverings and the inability to see. We have actually adjusted that in healthcare, and we now have masks in which you can see people's faces. That does help the deaf and people that read lips.
Good. Thank you, Melissa. Let's move to question 4. So, question 4. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, are now allowed by right by state law. Can you explain this? Well, it's too far away. Can you explain the septic rules for ADUs in Pembroke? Melissa, we'll go to you.
To start. I'm not even the incumbent. Okay, there we go.
I'll be happy to.
Okay. So, accessory dwelling units, as we all know, are small residential living spaces on the same lot as single units, right? And a small policy change that can make a big difference could be accessory dwelling units. It will give us opportunities for our seniors, young adults, and our neighbors. They can have rental incomes, offset some rising costs. In August of 24, Chapter 150, it actually went into place in February of 2025. Section 8 amends zoning laws to allow ADUs up to 900 square feet. Pembroke has a current law of 800 square feet in single-family zoning that I could find. There still has to be, of course, separate egresses and safe egresses, and we still have the ability to impose restrictions for Title V under this state law. So I do think it is something we should look into. And I do think that there are some areas in our current bylaws that were just done that could improve our compliance and increase housing.
This is wonderful information, but it's not the answering the question. The question is, can you explain the septic rules for ADUs?
I can tell you the septic rules. So now I only have 2 seconds.
You know what? I'm going to stop the clock. Maureen, can you answer the question? It's a pop quiz.
Yeah, the ADUs, so as Melissa said, it's 900 square feet. You do need a separate box for the unit. We did just recently pass at the board the update to match the state law. It was, as you said, the 800. We just updated the bylaw to 900. And also all of the standard existing margins for the borders of your property that always existed are still in existence. You don't need any other special permits. As far as the box goes, if you are going to put an ADU in and your existing system is over 20 years, you do have to get that inspected as well with the install of the second box.
Thank you very much. I believe, are there questions from the crowd? No, good. Question 5. I'm sorry, I am moving along as quickly as we can because I know we've got a lot of other questions to be asked. So, question 5. There's been a lot of talk about microplastics in the water and environment, as well as their impact on the body and brain. What is your understanding of this, and how should the Board of Health strategize to address it? Maureen.
Well, obviously, I'm very concerned about what's in our water, and that plastics is included in that, as well as the fluoride. So as far as my understanding is that it should fall under the Board of Health, but I believe I know there's a bylaw regarding plastic bags. I know that's not the same as this, I'm thinking plastic, sorry, excuse me.
Microplastics.
Yes, microplastics.
Yeah.
I agree there's a problem. It does need to be addressed. I don't know what the solutions are, and I could educate myself more on them.
Terrific. Thank you, Maureen. Melissa.
As stated in my opening statement, I have reviewed the current plastic bag laws in Pembroke. The reason why I mention that is as there has been a movement to reverse that, and I think that will negatively affect the amount of PFAs and plastics in our water. So I do not, and I will encourage education on the effects of PFAs in water. If you have a concern about fluoride in your water, you should have a greater concern about the microplastics because they have a greater negative impact on the health of our families and our neighbors.
Thank you. Okay, they're the questions selected. Let's move on to the closing statement. Maureen, as you're the incumbent, you'll get to go last. So, Melissa, you have 1 minute starting when you're ready. Are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
So I'm honored to have had the opportunity to share my truth with you tonight. Again, Melissa Killham, remember my name, registered nurse, public health advocate, and 24-year resident of Pembroke. I'm running for the Board of Health because I care deeply about this community. I believe in thoughtful, evidence-based leadership to protect and improve public health in Pembroke. I support proven health measures like keeping fluoride in our water. I'm committed to reducing plastic waste to protect both health and environment. I value and support regional collaboration, which we didn't get to speak tonight about, the South Shore 5 Public Health Alliance. Please reach out to me if you'd like to hear more about that. I bring 3 decades of clinical experience, a collaborative mindset, and I'm honored to have your support. If you'd like to know more, please ask questions after this. Reach out to me. I have an email, mkillham for Pembroke Board of Health @gmail.com.
Thank you. Okay, Maureen, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Go.
Thank you all again for being here tonight and for your civic engagement in our community. I'm Maureen Jasie, and I'm running for a re-election to the Pembroke Board of Health, and I ask for your vote. With my education and 3 years of experience, I bring both technical and policy experience to the role. There is still much work to be done with the new opportunities opened by the grant funding. I have attended nearly every shared service meeting to ensure we benefit while maintaining local control. I am a no mandate candidate who believes in informed choice in individual rights, not one size fits all public health decisions. That's why I'm supporting fluoride being removed from our water supply and prioritizing transparency and consent in everything we do. I ask for your vote on the Board of Health. Thank you to the Chamber and all of you, and thank you to my opponent, Melissa, for a wonderful debate. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's terrific. Thank you very much. If we could have a quick swap around, the more time we save swapping over, the more time we have to speak to the candidates.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Maureen, you have to leave, don't you? You have an appointment?
It's a special family event. It's for my child, so. She's getting courted at the National Honor Society in the auditorium at 7, so please forgive me for leaving on you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. Terrific. Okay, so school committee, Paige Graziano and Katrina Scarsciotti. Have I got that right? Okay, great. So we're going to start with Paige because you were here this time last year. Paige, don't forget. No banging the table.
I'm not going to bang the table. I've been
Okay.
practicing.
Good. Passion, but no banging. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you first to Fraser Townley and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event tonight. Events like this allow citizens to compare candidates and make wise voting decisions on Election Day. Thank you to all of you who've taken time out of your day to attend tonight. I am Paige Graziano. I am a veterinarian, business owner, mother of 4, and 24-year resident of Pembroke. I've been watching or attending school committee meetings for about 4 years now, and I've not missed more than 2 or 3 in-person meetings since the fall of 2023. In that time, I've learned a great deal about the function and procedures of the school committee, and I'm ready to step in and get started on day 1. I believe I bring 4 key talents to this position. The first is an educational understanding. My kids and I have been involved with public schooling, vocational high school, homeschooling, and dual enrollment. We've hosted a handful of exchange students and have learned about their educational processes as well. I've taught at home, in co-ops, through 4-H, and as a veterinarian. The second is financial acumen. My experience as a successful small business owner and employer will be crucial to both the budgeting and bargaining processes. The third, communication skills. I will not shy away from difficult subjects, and I do not offend easily. I enjoy open debate and discussion and appreciate opposing views when presented in a spirit of cooperation, collaboration, and understanding. And fourth, integrity and honesty. For years, I've served this community as a volunteer in 4-H and in my career. I've been fortunate enough to know many of you and your children, and those who know me know I value upfront communication and when I give my word, it means something. I hope to use these talents to educate our citizens about the upcoming vocational options and its costs, to plan for continued improvement in our educational depth and breadth, to facilitate transparency between the school and parents, and to be financially responsible to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. And under time. Congratulations.
I've been practicing.
Good job. Okay, Katrina, let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
So thank you to everyone for coming here today. My name's Katrina Scarsciotti. I grew up in Pembroke. I attended its public schools, and now I raise my family here. I have 2 daughters, an 18 and 7-year-old. My youngest actually attends the same elementary school that I did, Hamamock. And to be totally transparent, I had absolutely no intention of running this year. But when I saw how politics and culture wars were being woven into our schools, I knew I had to stand up and do something. I knew I had to set an example for my daughters to show them what we do when we know something isn't right. I'm also a registered independent, and I only bring that up because I'm not aligned with any party, and I'm not interested in being aligned with anyone other than those who can come to the table, put their personal beliefs aside, and seek out that common ground to do what's best for our schools, our students, and our community. And that's a skill that I've learned through my professional experience in HR. Currently, I support about 10 oil refineries throughout the US and in Canada. So I could start my day with a phone call with an engineer up in Breslau, Ontario, and then end it with a video chat with a operator down in Wichita, Kansas. It's finding that common ground and connecting with people that we so need on the school committee. And I think that's an invaluable asset that I could bring. And now more than ever, we need a strong, reasonable candidate who is able to cut through that noise and give real answers and find that common ground. And I know that I'm that candidate.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let's move on to the first question. And the first question, it's the low ball. Describe the roles and responsibilities of the position you're running for, and what's an area you feel especially well equipped for, and what area do you need to invest more time in learning? Paige.
The roles and responsibilities are fairly broad. The first is we hire and supervise the superintendent and then work with her to create policies, etc. The second is that we're responsible for budgeting, which we do in collaboration with the select board. The third is we receive information about the educational curriculum that will be used and make approvals of that. We also do long-range planning. We do collective bargaining with the teachers union as well as the other employees of the school committee. Oftentimes at school committee meetings, we also are recognizing achievements for the students, the student athletes, etc. I would say those are the broad areas. It's also our responsibility to educate the public about any changes that are made. We'll be needing people to make a decision about vocational education, and that will be really important coming up. What would I need more time learning? I think probably collective bargaining would be the thing that I have the least understanding of, and in part that's because it's done behind closed doors primarily.
Very good. Thank you, Paige. Katrina, would you like the question again?
Sure.
Okay. Describe the roles and responsibilities for the position you're running for, what's an area you feel especially well equipped for, and what's an area you need to invest more time learning?
Sure. The main role of the school committee focuses on policies and budgets. An area that I'm most, I think, well equipped for is the collective bargaining process. In my professional career, I actually sit on the other side of the table with the union every day. So I understand the grievance process, the arbitration process, and at times the challenging collective bargaining process, which is just going to be an opportunity, I think, if elected. I also bring with me the legal background, so I have a good understanding of laws and how to interpret them and regulations, and really where those are housed. Because one of the things I don't know is I don't know all the regulations that are in place, but I do know where to find them, how to interpret them, and how they apply to our everyday. And I think I would lean on our knowledgeable school committee for their input too, especially in my first year, because I mean, it's a great group and they obviously know what they're doing as well as the superintendent.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, on to question 2. How would you balance the authority of the state with your own independence as a school committee member responsible to the citizens of Pembroke? Katrina, let's start with you.
Oh, you just ended with me.
Yeah, well, there you go. Follow on.
Jeez Louise. Well, I think at the end of the day, the role of a school committee is to listen to the community as a whole. And that is exactly why I said I'm not aligned with anyone, because at the end of the day, my decisions will always be based on the entirety of the feedback from the whole community.
Okay. Paige.
This is really important to me. Clearly, we need to follow state laws. That's vital. But as a school committee member, we are also advocates for our students. So when laws are put into place, when regulations are made at DESE, we have the opportunity to go and speak on behalf of our citizens and on our students. And that's vital, to make sure that our parents' voices are heard. So we have a fine line to tread there, but we represent everyone. We also belong to the Mass Association of School Committees, and that is a place where we can meet with others, advocate for others, etc. And the last thing is that we regularly meet with and talk with our representatives at the state level to work with them to find finances for different grants, for example. There are different programs that the state may be running, different laws that they may be enacting, that we have the opportunity to then educate our citizens about so they can go out and make their voices heard through that process. Okay?
Very good. Thank you. Okay, on to question 3. Our schools disrupted learning for at least a year when Denmark and France and Germany were back at school in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm assuming this is during the COVID period. Describe a plan or approach that you would have in place to form a like decision for our schools in the future. Have you read any studies that question the wisdom of the steps Pembroke and other schools followed? Paige.
As an exchange student mom host, I had many opportunities to talk with other students from around the country, around the world, about how their specific countries were handling COVID. I was very worried about my students in Spain and Italy. They're part of my family. And then after COVID, we hosted students again and was able to get their input. I think we need to learn from the COVID lockdown experience. It was a very, very bad idea to lock our students down. And as far as a plan for the future, my plan for the future would be to avoid a lockdown at any cost. It's just not necessary. And there are numerous studies that I've looked at that I've had students who've had experiences with. It's not a good idea. We trade educational growth, we trade social emotional learning, we trade the stress of being locked in your house all day with mental health issues, and it's not worth it.
Thank you. You've got a little bit of time left, so I'm going to just ask you, you're saying this with hindsight?
Yes.
Okay. Back then, were you saying this? Just
no,
curious.
Back then, I was absolutely saying this was a very terrible idea.
Okay. So you haven't changed with hindsight?
No,
Kind of.
I mean, I could see initially at the beginning of COVID when they said, okay, we're going to take a little breather and figure out what's going on. I can understand that. You know, you get beyond about 2 or 3 weeks and we were starting to see the repercussions. My kids were homeschooled, and even my homeschooled kids were stressed by the amount of consolidation and confinement that they had.
Thank you, Paige.
Yeah.
You've answered the question. That's terrific. I appreciate that. Okay, Katrina, would you like me to read the question again?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So I think hindsight's 20/20, right? So today it's so easy to say, no, I would not lock down the schools. But at the time, we did what we had to do. And even though it did expose things like the mental health issues that kind of came from that, it also exposed the lack of services, I think, that we were giving our students. And then once they were isolated from school, it became more apparent. And I think it actually helped us become better with that. As far as studies that question the wisdom of the steps, I mean, I think we were pretty status quo. I think we did what everyone was doing because we were all doing the best we could at that time. As far as a plan in the future, I'm not a health professional. I don't know what the best course would be going forward, but I would be open to hearing what the public wanted, what our community wanted, and what our students wanted.
Very good, thank you. On to question 4. Is Melissa Hooley in the room? No. Okay.
She jumps up in the shadows.
Right. Now that all the details have been presented, do you support Pembroke joining in membership with South Shore Technical High School in Hanover in order for Pembroke students to gain access to vocational education? Katrina. We're alternating who starts.
I know, I should have gone by now. I apologize. I'll be better. Yes, I do support the VOTAC, and it's not just something that I say support, it's how I live my life. I mean, in my professional life, I started at the bottom level, entry-level job, and I worked my way up to legal, to senior paralegal, and then used those skills to become an HR business partner of over 10 oil refineries. You know, and my oldest, she was in the public school system, and we actually took her out of Pembroke because we went to a charter school that offered some trades availability to her because that's what she needed. I think very much that kids, their path to success is not one road, and giving a VOTAC option would just open up that for so many kids. And I think there's a misconception that if kids go to VOTAC, that means they're not going to go the traditional college route, and that's actually not true. I think it's like 38 to 40% still actually go on to college, so it's just another tool in their tool belt to be successful.
Thank you. Paige.
I 1,000% support us joining the Vocational Technical High School in Hanover. I will be voting for it personally when we get that opportunity in the fall. I will be encouraging our citizens to really take a look at their finances. There is really no greater investment we can make in our future. It's an investment not only for our students' future, but our own future, because you know we're not getting any younger. We need nurses, we need plumbers. We are going to need these people to step up into these positions, and I think Pembroke is a great place for kids to have that opportunity. It's kind of a shame we haven't in the past. That being said, it will come up for a vote, so the citizens will have an opportunity to evaluate their own finances, to take a look at the ultimate numbers of what this will cost us. We're looking at about $20,000 in a debt exclusion override to cover the cost of the new building. That new building will give us the opportunity for more space for more students as part of the cooperative group of towns involved. We're also going to be looking for finances to increase our budget so that we can afford to pay the tuition there. In light of that, we will have to be considering different opportunities for the students in our own system as we reduce class sizes to make some adjustments there. And I am ready and willing to go ahead and do that. I think it's worth it.
Thank you, Paige. Okay, so the final question is coming up. I want members of the audience to just remember that we're being respectful to the candidates. They have their opinions, and I'd like them to be able to speak without interruption. So, last year our school committee discussed a policy to limit flags in the schools and remove pride flags. If elected to the school committee, would you support revisiting this policy? Paige.
I think that it is important that each and every student be accepted for who they are. That is vital. Every student deserves a place where they go to school and they can learn algebra, history, social studies, sciences, etc. The American flag represents every single student. I also believe that every student has the right to place on themselves or their belongings whatever flag they feel represents them. I do not feel that we have the right to completely limit what our teachers present to our students in terms of what they wear for their own regalia, if they want to wear their own religious symbols, or if they want to wear something small. But I do not believe that the pride flag belongs in our public schools. It does not belong there, placed there by the school or its representatives. And I believe that because I believe that although every LGBTQ person is deserving of respect and has the right to live their life as they see fit, there is no way that men can become women and women can become men, and that we need to protect our young girls in the school locker rooms and in their sports.
Thank you, Paige. Katrina?
So the first attempted removal of the pride flag was a powerful example of a small group coming in and trying to speak for the community as a whole. The school committee heard from the community and did the right thing and did not remove the flag. They also looked at the legalities of that and that the cost and the burden it would to the town if that was to happen. The flag is not political. It does not align with any side. It's just there as a symbol to say, here, when you're at school, you're safe and you're accepted, regardless of what happens out there. And as far as the American flag, those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can understand and respect the symbol of the American flag. I mean, as a daughter of a veteran, I understand the sacrifice of what that flag means. It does not take away of the significance of the pride flag and what that means to a group of individuals. And again, so for me, it would be a no. I would not revisit that.
So you mentioned the pride. You've got 30 seconds, so I'm going to ask you a question. You said it's not political. You don't think the pride flag's political. Do you think the pride flag's political?
Unfortunately, what started out as something that represented a group of people who were not being treated with respect, it's been taken over by a group of people who are extremists.
So it's political?
Yes, it's become political.
Okay.
I got 12 seconds left, so I'm going to say, the thing about the pride flag is it doesn't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. It doesn't care if you're a liberal or conservative. You're still respected under that. You still have a place that you can feel safe, and it doesn't have to be political.
Can I make one quick assessment?
Is this an assessment?
It's a quick aside.
You know I'll give Katrina the same.
If that is the case, why is it that people have been threatening me since I put my position up?
Which is not acceptable. Okay. Katrina,
I certainly have not been threatening anyone, and I don't endorse that. But the thing as when you become a public person and you're running a campaign, when you say things, you have to be ready for what comes back. And when you call a pride flag a flag of lies, it's going to cause certain emotions, and it's not always the emotions you're going to want, and you're going to get those people who are upset.
How would you define a woman?
I don't think that's
Wait. Okay, I'm the moderator, Katrina. I'm sorry. We're not going to have those questions. We're just going to move to the closing.
Perfect.
Okay?
We have somebody laughing when we're speaking, so I think we should address that.
I actually did ask for respect. I knew this was going to be a hot ticket question. The question had to be asked. We had to understand what the candidates' opinions were. I would appreciate if people don't interfere with the process, either sniggering, laughing, or calling out.
Childish.
That's what I'm saying we shouldn't be doing.
I sat here
No,
and
Katrina,
totally
can we just, I'll ring the bell on you.
Go ahead.
I think you should
Okay.
ring the bell. Just ring the bell once.
Please do. I actually want it.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, Katrina.
Closing?
Oh, I pressed a button. There we go. Closing. Let's go.
All right. I want to take this moment and remind you the type of candidate I am. I'm the type of candidate who will seek to find common ground and bring that with me to the school committee. My professional experience has taught me how to meet people where they are and to find that common ground. I will also bring my extensive union experience, which will be very helpful during the challenging collective bargaining that's coming up. And I'm just going to say, you may notice that I haven't been relying on any people's endorsements, and that's something I'm proud of. And I'm proud of that because I refuse to play the political game. I refuse to align myself with any one group or any party. In fact, when I was out in the community, I would speak to people who would say they were going to vote for me, but they would say that they weren't going to talk about it publicly for fear of upsetting their base. And that's just not who I am. I'm not someone who's going to base my decisions on people I think will help me get elected. I'm going to base my decisions on the feedback from the entire community. It's not going to matter to me who they voted for in the past. And on May 17th, I urge you to look past the noise and vote for the candidate who's going to bring the real answers for who listens to understand before responding and who's not beholden to any group or party.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Katrina. Thank you. Paige, I hope you don't overrun, but if
I
I
will
do,
not.
I will give you the same
I will
5
be
seconds
fine.
or so. Okay.
I will be fine.
Let me know when you are
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
Over my half-century of existence, I have built my life upon a firm foundation. The foundation is truth spoken in love. I am prepared to continue this tradition in how I serve on school committee. Whether the conversation is about graduation cords, vocational education, special education, or women's sports, I will speak with conviction, listen with intent to understand, and participate fully as a representative of all of our Pembroke citizens. Parents, when you drop your kids at our school, you will not have to worry that your rights stop at the door. I will work to ensure that we partner with you to provide your child a world-class education that will serve them over their whole life. Every child will be encouraged to do their best, to be kind to others, and to seek knowledge and truth. And I'm asking for your vote on or before the 17th. I thank you for your time, and I'd like to thank my children. My 3 daughters are amazing young women, and every day they live out what I have taught them, and I'm so proud of them.
Thank you very much, Paige and Katrina. I knew you were going to cry, Paige. I just knew it. Okay, so here we are. Are we all settled in, comfortable, ready for the final? Gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, so again, Steve, you're the incumbent. So we'll give you the honors of kicking this off. 2 minutes on the clock. Are you ready? Ready, go.
Good evening. I'm Steve Ciciotti, and I'm running for re-election to my second term as your selectman. For those who don't know me, I came here with my wife, Stephanie, who I've been with for 17 years. We purchased our Pembroke home, attracted to the open spaces, greenery, great water bodies, and diverse wildlife. An unexpected benefit is also far less light pollution at night, which allows me to better enjoy looking at the moon, planets, and galaxies with my high-powered telescope. We love the low-density suburb feel, low crime, and great public schools for our 3 young children, Natalie, Gabriel, and Vanessa. As a family of total book nerds, we also quickly fell in love with our Pembroke Public Library, of which my wife Stephanie serves as chair on its library board of trustees. And as our roots quickly deepened, I discovered something else very special and unexpected, a strong and welcoming community with so much life and history to go with it. Back in 2021, I started to get involved due to some very controversial times and policies, and following my engagement with almost a year's worth of select board meetings, I was strongly encouraged by many to step up and help as part of the solution. In 2022, I proposed my candidacy to be your selectman on a bold platform challenging these policies and was elected with a 61% supermajority, ensuring some of my main objectives were fulfilled within only a month of serving. Since then, and throughout my first term as your selectman, I've gained immense knowledge of the systems at play as well as both the strengths and opportunities we face as a town. With my years of experience working in management for businesses both large and small, publicly traded and privately owned in various industries as a certified IT technician, to finance and accounting and construction, to supply chain, production control, and data analytics, and med tech and defense and space manufacturing, I continue to bring an ever-growing set of skills, experiences, and perspectives to the table that few others can. I do not take what we all love about Pembroke for granted, and I want to protect, if not enhance, what I and I think we all love about Pembroke and what makes it great. There are a few days remaining for early voting with town election just next Saturday, and I would humbly request your vote to continue serving Pembroke in the best way I know how.
Spot on. Good timing, Steve. I think I preferred the micro machines of the WATD, but that was terrific.
I made the most that I could with that one.
Yeah. Okay, Sean.
All right. Good evening. My name is Sean Keegan, and I am proud to be running for the Pembroke Select Board. I've been in Pembroke since 1973. I'm a 28-year veteran of the Mass National Guard, and I have been an IT manager for about 25 years. We have a challenge in front of us. It's not unique to Pembroke, but over time it's gotten worse here. We've stopped truly listening to each other. We've lost sight of the fact that we're neighbors first, and we all want the same thing, a strong and bright future for our town. Too often, the loudest voices come from the extremes, trying to pull us apart. But that's not who we are. Most of Pembroke are independents, hardworking families who care deeply about the town and each other. I'm running to restore balance, rebuild trust, and refocus our energies on what matters most. We need leadership that listens to every voice, invites more people into the conversation, and always puts the long-term good of Pembroke ahead of any narrow agendas. I'm running to be the kind of select board member my kids can be proud of. Someone who leads with respect, thoughtfulness, and integrity. Someone who shows them and all of you that public service is about working together to build something better. Pembroke deserves leadership that reflects the strength, spirit, and its heart. And that's the kind of leadership that I'm going to bring to the select board. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you for your service. And I know you're very comfortable in this beautiful garden called Pembroke, but I'm pretty certain most people in Pembroke won't be comfortable in your battle zone. Just thought I'd... that was not a political speech. I'm moving on. Question 1. What kind of development would you like to see, would you like to see, I've got to read from the cards, I'm sorry. What kind of development would you like to see in the center, and do you think mixed-use zoning is appropriate? Steve, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so this is actually something that this is one of many things we talked about when I was the vice chair on the Master Plan Collaboration Committee. This is something we identified that was definitely an opportunity in town that needed to be revisited. The issue with the center of town is that it's the Center Historic District, so the whole district has been zoned as the Center Historic District, and there's a lot of restrictions in there that make it very difficult to be flexible, to attract some meaningful development in there. And there's kind of a reason, that's part of the reason why we've been struggling with the revitalization of our center. So that zoning does need to be revisited, and that's something that we identified in the master plan. Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to happen. Some mixed zoning. We've got the new development coming down at the Old Shepherd's Funeral Home as well, which is a friendly 40B. Originally started as a semi-friendly 40B, and we helped make it a little more friendly. So because of some of the negotiations there, we're going to see a tavern down there. The buildings are a little bit smaller and spread out as well. There's 3 instead of 2 big, huge ones. So part of that is very good, is part of the development that we're doing. There's also some grants being explored by our planning board. Sue Globin is doing an extremely good job administrating to the planning board, and the chair, Andy Wandell, and vice chair, Alicia Siciliano-Perry, are doing some great job chasing after some grants. There's 3 or 4 grants that they're going after to help significantly with the downtown.
So talking of grants, Steve, there was $840,000 left on the table of ARPA funds. Could we have used some of that money, do you think?
That money was initially appropriated, the ARPA funds, for some water infrastructure, but they were canceled oftentimes because they don't qualify or because of something like that. So there's a lot of restrictions to what the ARPA funds could be used for. I'd have to talk with the town manager a little bit more to see if they would even qualify for that. So that would be an open question.
That was like a quick fire question that came in. Sean, sorry, to you. What kind of development would you like to see in the center, and do you think mixed-use zoning is appropriate?
So I would love to see the center revitalized, especially since the Stop and Shop has pulled out. The Shepherd's Funeral Home development will be great with the tavern. That'll bring people in. I'd love to see us work with Stop and Shop to see if we can come to some agreement and get something into that building. I would really like to see something community-based done with the firehouse when they move out to the public safety building. All of this, I think, can really revitalize, bring people into the center of town, give us a more sense of community, and bring in some revenue. And yes, I think mixed zoning is appropriate, yes. Can I respond to the ARPA?
You've got 48 seconds. Go ahead.
Oh, good, great. Got to talk slower. So it's my understanding that we left that money on the table because we missed deadlines, and so we never had that money. So I don't know what it was earmarked for, but we lost that money because we didn't put in the paperwork that needed to be put in.
Yeah, my response to that is when things get canceled in
It's
our
the town manager's responsibility,
yes,
right?
that is correct.
Okay.
It is the town manager's responsibility, but it could be for a couple different reasons. It could be because of a delay or because they didn't qualify. It was for water infrastructure, so it is likely due to part of a delay, but that is the town manager's responsibility, that office, and that is something that could be for a couple of reasons. Could I also respond to something that he mentioned about...
I just want to make a point. I'm extremely flattered that you're both looking at me when you answer the questions, but it's the town's questions. So if you address the town, I think they will feel just as flattered as
You
I
are the
am.
manifestation of the town, what with the questions coming, so...
Oh, thank you,
we'll take
Steve.
that.
No, let's move on to the next question, because we do have a lot of questions, but thank you for encouraging me to... I just feel flattered, actually. Okay, question 2. On the town meeting warrant are articles to allow the sale of recreational marijuana. Pembroke has voted 3 times against this issue. What is your take on the select board bringing this to town meeting on May 13th again? Sean, we'll start with you.
Thank you. So we did vote on this 3 times, but I believe the last time was either 2016 or 2017. So a lot has changed. A lot of data has come in. You know, people were concerned about bringing dispensaries into towns. They didn't know how it would affect the town with crime, drug use, all kinds of things. We have lots of data to show that it doesn't cause problems. So it would be good to hear what the town has to say about it. Find out where we are. We might not still feel the same way that we voted last time. But we also might have missed the boat. A lot of dispensaries, the market has been flooded, and a lot of dispensaries are failing. So it might not be the boon we'd like it to be. But I would sure like to take it to a forum, hear what the town has to say before we vote on it, which is something I think you mentioned last year, but for some reason that didn't happen. We're going straight to the town meeting.
Steve, to you.
Yeah, so that was something that I believe it was Dan had suggested, actually. So I did not suggest that, and I said it was definitely something that we should be open to considering. The reason why, I believe, yeah, it was turned down by the town 3 times. The latest time was in 2017. And it was also turned down in 2017 before it was, the state law had changed. So there's a little bit of house cleaning that we have to do just to catch up with the state. It's legal to the state as well right now. Not only that, but even though we may or may not have missed the boat, it's just one other restriction in town that seems unnecessary. You can go down the street and, towards Marshfield, down the street towards Kingston, pretty much in any direction, and you can visit a recreational marijuana shop. So this is one thing that I think culturally, socially, we've moved forward from. We should not restrict something that's between consenting adults, as far as I'm concerned as well, and there's still potential revenue to be had there. This is actually also something that we identified on the master plan. We also identified as part of our values, goals, and priorities, which was something that I pushed for on the select board as well. The first formal values, goals, and priorities, which really puts everything in black and white as an accountability tool, and a directive tool, and a continuity tool as well. So we identified that as an opportunity, and the select board endorsed it, and the entire select board as a body moved forward with the values, goals, and priorities, and as well with marijuana.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Question 3. There's an assertion has been
Would you like me to read the question, Fraser?
No. It's me reads the questions, you answer. The assertion has been expressed by some that our select board is not balanced or diverse enough in its views. What evidence do you have that this is or is not true? I think we're starting with you, Steve. Is that correct?
That's fine, either way.
Okay.
I would say this is definitely not true. I mean, we have a centrist Democrat on the select board. We've got a centrist Republican on the select board. We've got, I would say, a centrist, unaffiliated on the select board. I am a very libertarian-leaning Republican on the select board, and we also have a more conservative Republican on the select board. So I would say it's pretty diverse in terms of views. With that said, we operate as a productive body, and we do have disagreements. I mean, just last night we had some disagreements. Oftentimes we'll have a lone vote that votes no on something, or votes yes, or makes a motion, or a motion dies. Oftentimes there's a minority vote of only 2 votes, for example. That's happened a number of times as well. But we accept the results and we move forward, and then we will have a deliberation, we'll debate, we'll go over the issue until we get to the point where we're ready to go for a vote. So I would say it's diverse, and I would say it's pretty balanced as well. I know some folks in town are probably not as happy that it doesn't agree with all of their views, but everybody's not going to be in lockstep with each other. And I think that that's something that we could move forward with more productively, to accept that we're not going to be all lockstep, and it would be pretty boring if we all agreed with each other all the time. So I think disagreement is good, and healthy debate is good, as long as it is in good faith.
Can I just ask, who is the Democrat on the select board?
That would be Dan. Dan Trabucco is a registered Democrat.
Wait, he's got President Trump as his face.
He is
on his...
nonetheless a Democrat.
Okay.
As I said, he is a centrist Democrat, and there are a lot of Democrats who...
I'm not going to argue with you or Dan. I'm just stating the facts.
Yep.
Sean.
So first of all, I have never argued the efficacy of the views of the board. That's a much longer discussion. I'm saying that the board... Now, I'm new to the Pembroke political scene, so as far as I can tell, Pembroke Rising represents the far right, so I'm going to use that. And I know that at least 3 members of the board were elected with help from Pembroke Rising and their priorities. The reason I'm running is because all I hear from people is our voice is not being heard. We're not part of the conversation. They're not being listened to. It's all going one way. I just want everybody to be heard. Not everybody's going to get what they want, ever, in anything. But I want everybody to be part of the process. If they're part of the process, they know it's a fair process, and they know their voice matters, and they can feel proud of the direction that Pembroke is going.
So I'd like to respond to that.
No. No. There's so many questions. You will have your point will be made. You were clear about your answer. He was clear about his. He had extra time. So,
okay.
Question 4. There's been a lot of discussion in town about candidates who didn't file all of their campaign finance forms to our town clerk. Do you think these candidates deserve the public's trust? And if you made a mistake, how would you handle this issue with the voters? Sean, you're not part of this discussion, but answer that question. How would you handle it if you made a mistake?
Sure. So I'll answer the second part of it first. If you make a mistake, you own up to it and you try to rectify it. That's in anything.
Oh.
And
sorry. Keep going.
As far as the paperwork, I know it's out there. I haven't paid attention to it. I don't know who hasn't filed what paperwork. The only thing that I will say on this is if you're hiring someone to help run your town, I would give pause if they can't properly run their own campaign. That's it.
Steve?
Yeah, so this is something that I talked to the OCF about. And also, if you look at the town, the situation right now with almost all candidates, the vast majority of them in the past, and this doesn't excuse it, but I think we have to look at the fact that the vast majority of people are missing some paperwork or another, whether they're elected to the library board of trustees, the select board, the board of health, school committee, etc. So it doesn't excuse it. We need to improve our processes, make sure people have a better understanding of the documentation that's needed when they file. But the OCF, they're like, just file the paperwork. It's really not, they're not going to chase after, library board of trustee because they didn't put their M101 form in. That's not really what they're going after. So if someone has identified, hey, you're missing some paperwork, just file the paperwork. And that's the OCF's position as well, because I talked with them about that. And certainly with regards to, any additional paperwork, yeah, if there's a mistake, then, yeah, fix the paperwork and get it done. That's it. It seems very simple to me.
Very good. Thank you. That was question 4.
We're already there?
Well, on the well, there's
Should have given me more time on the other ones, Fraser.
There's a surprise coming up.
All right.
Trust
I
me.
love surprises. Let's do it.
Did anyone hear about what President Trump's surprise was? He talked about having a big surprise. Has he announced it yet? I don't think so. Anyway, it's one of those, it's a surprise. Okay, question 5. I would like you two to both take a look at this. These are citizens' petitions, one from Maureen, who's left, but she knows she filed this petition, and one from Rich Flynn on the select board. I put these up because we had a question, and I wanted to have context with it. So the question was, what is your position on board members circumventing the democratic process of working with their respective boards to get actions on the town meeting warrant by filing citizens' petitions to effect change? Steve, it's your turn to go first.
Sure. I don't see a circumventing of the democratic process if any citizen in the town, whether they are a board member, appointed, or elected, wants to do a citizen's petition. Everyone has the right to do that. So I don't know, the question seems pretty simple to me. If you have the right to file a citizen's petition, then you have a right to file a citizen's petition, and then you've got to gather the support to do that. But I mean, with that said, we were actually discussing this a little bit last night, and I thought it was curious and interesting that we only require 10 signatures for citizens petitions, and that's quite outside the norm for the area. Most areas require 50 to 100. So personally, I think that that's something that should be revisited. The barrier to entry should be a little bit higher. It seems way too low for anyone to file almost frivolous citizens petitions.
I understand. I'm letting this one run.
And,
I understand.
Yeah, and they and it kind of complicates things unnecessarily. But in terms of should someone or not be allowed to file a citizens petition, that seems very cut and dry for me. If you can file a citizens petition, you have the right to go through the process just like everybody else. Though I would prefer them to go through the standard process.
Right. Maureen's on the Board of Health, and she puts up a Board of Health citizens petition instead of running it through the Board of Health to go to the Select Board for the Select Board to put it on the warrant.
Yeah,
that does seem like a circumvention.
I'm not going
to
advocate for or against why. Maybe there's strategic reasons as to why they do that. I don't know. I wouldn't go about it that way, but I'm not going to disparage someone for engaging in their right.
I haven't asked you to disparage. I asked.
It would seem to me to be a disparagement to say no, you should not be able to do that, or no, that's unethical. I don't see that.
Right. Okay. Sean, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I completely disagree. If you're on the board, you need to go through that process. And if you don't get your way, that doesn't mean you just circumvent it by putting in the citizen's petition. You are held to a different standard. You're on the board. And I don't believe that that should happen at all. I don't need the rest of the time.
No clocks for anybody on that particular round. Gentlemen, they were your 5 lowball questions. Sorry. Been a technical difficulty. We're going to have a quick fire round now.
Did you know this?
No.
So, I want just a yes or a no for the majority.
How do you do that to us, Fraser? Especially me. It's Jesus.
There's no clock. There's no timing. Just a quick. So, do you believe dissolving the DEI committee was a good idea?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Do you agree with out-of-town resources being used to support a candidate?
Absolutely not.
Sure. Why not?
Okay. Are pride flags political?
Yes.
No.
What is Pembroke's biggest challenge? Try and make it in a sentence. Please, Steve.
Managing Prop 2.5 constraints in our budget while trying to develop meaningfully while protecting the character of our town.
Sean?
Yeah, I think it's getting back to every voice being heard and everybody being part of the process.
I want to just say these are questions that came from the town. But there was no way we were going to pick, Sue was part of we were not going to pick questions that were just yes/no questions if they had 90 seconds to say yes or no. Seemed like a waste of time, but this is good. Biological males playing on girls' teams in sports, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Should personal opinions influence the decisions of an elected official? Steve?
I think they do, whether you want it to or not.
Sean?
I think everybody's opinion is going to influence the decision, but you should be listening to what the town wants.
Very good. Do you agree with term limits for the town's boards?
Yes.
Term limits for the town's boards. I think that's
Think Libby Bates.
good one. No.
Okay. Turner House, stay or go? Sean?
After talking to the fire chief, go.
John Turner never lived in that house.
Stay or go? Go.
Go.
We agreed on one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have consent. Let's go back to question 4 about there being differences on the...
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last question in the quickfire, and this was the last question that came in on the death on the last night. What national political figure in today's world do you believe your political philosophy is most closely aligned? Sean?
I don't have an
Don't
answer.
say Mousy Tongue, he's not around anymore.
I don't have an answer for that. I would have to put some thought into that. I don't know.
Steve?
There's so much to go into that question. There's too much to go into that question. I'd have to think about that.
If the person who sent that question in is in the room, he's going to come and... Don't reveal it. They're going to come and speak to you. Okay, so that's terrific. At this point, we should be inviting the candidates to close their statements, but we have 40 minutes on the clock. So we would like to invite questions from the floor if anyone has a question. Deb, Becky's hand came up first, so I'm going to give the microphone. Wait a second. Sorry, I'm scrabbling down here.
I enjoyed that. That's a really good part of the format. I think you should do that more often.
You've got to change it up every now and then.
Yeah.
That's the on button. Okay, Becky, I know who you are, but if you could give us your name and address.
Becky Coletta, 23 Vernon Hall Drive, Pembroke. So my question is, what is your role in supervising the town manager? When we talk about things like losing ARPA money, my question is, what is the role of the select board to make sure that the town manager is doing their job?
I'll go first.
Sure.
The select board does have an annual review process, so we need to review the town manager, make sure he is executing in his duties. And there is a period also where the town manager's contract comes up. There's a negotiation period, and whether we renew that contract or not. So part of the annual review process is identifying opportunities, goals, opportunities for improvement. Are they meeting the goals? Is he or she not meeting the goals? And that's going to be part of our assessment as the year goes on. You can't terminate a town manager because maybe he made a mistake here or he made a mistake there. And some of the mistakes can sometimes be he's responsible for a lot. And the town manager has really saved the town a lot of money. He executes really well, especially with regards to municipal finance. He's very good. He's very good managing our OPMs and following up on things. He saved us a lot of money with regards to the Center Street project with the state. So mistakes are going to happen, and we have to manage that. And part of the select board's role is not to micromanage the town manager. You don't want to do that because then he's not empowered to do his job. He is basically like a COO, CFO kind of figure. And so we're to provide oversight, not micromanage the town manager, but we need to expect results. And when mistakes happen, we need to have those conversations to ensure that we're improving, as opposed to, tearing somebody down, especially if they've done so well for the town.
Terrific, Steve. I knew not having a clock was going to be a mistake. Sean?
Yeah, so I agree. our town manager has done an outstanding job. I think before him, there wasn't as much emphasis put on planning and making sure that our town was moving in the right direction. And since he's been on the job, I think he's done outstanding. If mistakes are made, the board, it's almost a collaboration. The board works with the town manager, even though they oversee him. It needs to be addressed immediately, and we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Find out why it happened, right? I mean, I know he's busy. I know he's got a ton on his plate. I don't know how he does it all, but this is important. So we need to address the issue and find ways to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Sean. I believe, Deb, you had a question? Name and address, and then ask your question.
Deb Flanagan, 12 Beach Road.
Thank you.
By the way, I know the backstory on the fluoride warrant. The Board of Health unanimously voted to stop adding it to the public water supply, but it was the health agent's advice that it needed to go before town meeting, and that was why Maureen filed the warrant.
Got it. Okay.
So
what's your question?
My question is, what sort of guardrails, if any, do you believe should be placed on community preservation funds and Camp Pembroke funds?
Sean, I think this is definitely your question.
Do you?
Yes.
So I believe they just put guardrails in, making sure that nobody can get more than one time getting donations from the funds. Not sure that that's something that should have happened. There are lots of good things that can happen multiple times that the funds can be going to. I don't know enough about those funds, though. I'm not the incumbent. I don't have all of that information. I will. Steve didn't have it all when he started. I don't have it all now, so I can't speak to that as fluently as I would like to.
Fair enough. Steve?
I was able to speak to a lot of it when I ran, I will say, though. So CPA funds, to start with that, those are Community Preservation Act funds. And when I started on the Board of Selectmen, one thing I noticed was that the town, the norm had been that it was a little too easy to kind of give money out to anyone who kind of came for it. The priorities were a little disjointed from the public. And so they would go to a lot of different private beneficiaries, whether we're talking about Camp Pembroke funds or we're talking about CPA funds, they would go towards private entities instead of public entities first. And one thing that I thought was very important was that we prioritized our needs before our wants. And that's not to say that we shouldn't, fund our wants. There are definitely some things that we want to do and we want to execute on that are good for the town. But we have a lot of needs in place. We have crumbling infrastructure. We had crumbling historic town-owned buildings. We had crumbling playgrounds that we're finally putting CPA funds toward now that have been crumbling for many years. So we shifted the direction after the conversation with the board, and the town manager shifted the direction of CPC funds toward our needs before our wants, toward public use before private beneficiaries. And then I think that's a good thing for the town, because now we're seeing more positive activity for things that everybody can enjoy instead of just certain things that maybe certain interest groups would prefer to have for themselves.
Where does the Lydia Drake Library fall in that conversation?
That's town-owned.
It is?
It is. So that would, in my view, that is a public historic building.
Got it.
So yeah, that's a historic building. So CPA funds are good for historic,
Yep.
open space, and
Yep.
recreation.
Okay. I believe we have another question. Andy?
Yeah, Andy Wendell, Oldham Street. I'm also chair of the planning board. By the way, there's a $500,000 that's being asked for through CPC or CPA funds on this warrant for the Hobbamock Playground. So it's going to some good stuff. And there's a group of people in town who represent the various committees like planning board and historical who review all of those applications. But that's not my question. My question is, according to the town manager's report, new growth revenues were lower than expected this year. Since new growth is essential to meeting our budget needs, what new growth initiatives would you like to implement for Pembroke?
Steve?
So this is something that we talked a lot about during the master plan process. So I spent a year with the Master Plan Collaboration Committee working on the master plan. People can see that if you go to www.pembroke-ma.gov and then go to Discover and then go right down to Master Plan, you can see the whole master plan document. We identified a lot of things there. One of them is new growth. So there's ADUs was one of them, was one of the things that we could do. Revisiting our zoning as well. Commercial development is something we desperately need. If anything, commercial development has fallen over time while residential has grown. That means that the residents bear the vast majority of the tax burden. I think it's like 94% last I checked, and that's increasing. So that says we really need to attract more commercial development. We have been more friendly with commercial development. There's a little bit of a perception out there that Pembroke is unfriendly to business, and that's not the case. Hasn't been for a long time. And there's been some moves that we're making to attract more commercial development, such as being more open to making accommodations as well. So commercial development, very important to move some of that tax burden off the residential taxpayer onto commercial as well. And plus, that commercial development is needed in order to create more jobs in the area, to create more shops and services that Pembroke residents can visit. There's a lot of benefits to that. So yeah, there's a lot in the master plan that we identified to help with that.
Sean?
Yeah, Pembroke needs to grow to survive. I've been here since 1973, and when I was young, I was an avid dirt bike rider. I probably bothered a lot of you older residents here with my bike, and I apologize. But everywhere I used to ride, there's a building now. Pembroke has managed to grow and still keep its sense of community, and I believe we can keep doing that. I think commercially, there are a lot of bylaws that make it a little bit difficult to work with Pembroke, and I think it would be very easy for the board to just go through those and simplify them and still protect the town. As far as residentially, I know, I believe we're down to like our last 300 buildable lots in Pembroke, so we're running out of room. We can discuss with the town maybe going from an acre to a half acre to build. Not sure how the town would feel about that, but that's one avenue. But we need to grow to survive, and I want to see Pembroke survive and grow.
So it's actually 400 acres, but when you put the roads in and everything else, it works out to be about 300. Andy, 3 or 2, roughly. And I believe Andy did propose half-acre lots, but it got shot down. So that didn't go through. It failed.
Never mind.
Correct? You've got a microphone back there, Andy. You can talk.
Yeah, the planning board decided not to go forward with the zoning bylaw change that would do that. So it was the planning board's decision not to go forward with it. That doesn't mean we won't take it up again or look at other things. It's in the master plan. It's something that we are going to look at. So
I understand the concern. Like, we don't want to urbanize, right? We don't want to become a Weymouth or a Quincy or something like that. And I can see where people are concerned. But I think working with the select board, working with the town manager and being very thoughtful, even if we did go to half acres, we could still manage to keep our community the way it is.
So while we're on this subject, Steve, I know, so in the WATD interview last week, you answered a question about friendly 40Bs.
Yes, I was just about to talk about that.
Oh, you know what?
Yes.
Take the floor.
So this is something like, I know you're talking about, being more okay with just, developing and so on and so forth. And we do need to develop. We need to have controlled development so we can protect the character of our town, what brought us here, what brought my family here, what's keeping people, or why they love Pembroke, why they want to stay in Pembroke. We've got to protect the character of the low-density suburb. With that said, I mean, if we stay beneath the 10% affordable housing requirement, then 40B developments are going to continue to take over our town, and we'll have no control over the developments whatsoever. So this is something where on the master plan and discussions with the planning board, Andy Wandell, Alicia Ciliano Perry, et cetera, that we move forward with a productive strategy with friendly 40Bs. Unfriendly 40Bs are those 40B developments that come in, we're under 10%, they run roughshod over our zoning. There's a couple of those, River Marsh, that happened, for example. The Lake and Plain Street, some people are very unhappy about, and I get it, rightfully so, but it's the state. We have very limited control over that. So once we do achieve the 10%, and we need to get there, then we'll get back control of our zoning, and then we can revisit this friendly 40B. So we can start to attract 40Bs that are friendly, where we can say, hey, you know what? If you do what we want to help us maintain, targeting between 10 and up to 15% affordable housing, then we'll get off the hamster wheel of always being under 10%.
How close are we, Steve?
At last I checked, we were at close to 9%, I think.
Yeah.
So we're high 8, if I remember correctly.
You
That
said,
number, it depends on who
you said close to 10, and that Shepherd's would push us over the 10.
Yeah, so, no, there's a few developments going on. There's
Right.
River Marsh.
Yeah.
There's Shepherd's.
Yep.
There's the Lake and Plain Street 40B.
Yeah.
There's a few developments that are going on right now. So, yeah, we would like to see go over 10%, but that number is shifting all the time. So we may or may not get over that 10% with that. The numbers have to be updated.
So the public need to know that what's happening in Shepherd's is a quid pro quo for what's happening on the golf course. It's not a
Yes.
golf course, the country club. So there's 176 homes going up in the golf club where it kind of is, Andy.
Well, it's
Okay,
not.
so how many affordable houses are going up in the golf club? How many affordable housing units are going up?
Are we doing the debate, or are
Yeah.
you or Fraser?
Andy is.
So,
Sorry.
quid pro quo I would not say is the best word for it.
Okay.
That's a little unfair.
We're at 8.5.
But wait, if I may, the benefit of that the benefit of the Bristol Brothers Center development is that, we're going to get full credit for all those units.
Yeah.
So that's a huge benefit of that.
No, it is, but it's.
But
You've got 176
debating
units
him,
that are
not
going to
you.
fold.
well, not to be.
Okay, if you know the facts, you tell
Well,
them.
the thing is that, is it 60 units that are?
66.
Okay, 66, but there's
62.
176 going
We had
in
to
as
go
a pub-
down.
So the net gain is going to be against us. We were at 8.5% after the last census. And the Shepherd's is not going to help us because, not that it's quid pro quo, but he's building there and he's building at the country club. And there's 176 units going in there. So the 66 that are going here are not going to put us where we need to be. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
That-
and
and
that's
that
not
is-
the only development that's
And that
taking
is not
place in
quid pro,
town. There's
quid
multiple
pro quo,
40Bs.
so I take that back. Let's have another question from the crowd, please. Your hand, can we, who else do you want to ask questions of? Do you want to answer them? Come up, ladies.
Do you want, are we moving?
I think we should. I think it's your turn.
I don't think we need to.
No, but
He'll
they
bring
need-
the.
Who else has got their hand
You
up?
have a microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, you were hiding behind the pillar.
I'm Jim Agnew, Karen Brook Lane, and a former member of the school committee. So my question is, earlier tonight, we heard that if we remove the pride flags from our schools, we open ourselves up to litigation. I would ask that same question around men's and women's sports. If we allow men to compete locally in girls' athletic activities, wouldn't we find ourselves in breach of Title IX?
That sounds like a school committee. Katrina, I think it's for the candidates.
I think, yeah, but is that for the school committee or the select board?
That's for the select board tonight. That's for our two candidates.
Okay. I'm
I
not on the ticket. I'm not going to answer it.
I'll say unified sports are co-ed, girls' sports are girls' sports, and men's sports are men's sports. So co-ed sports are different. So should I address it?
If you have a different opinion.
So since 1979, we've had the co-ed sports, and it has not been an issue in Pembroke, and as of today, it's not an issue in Pembroke. And the school committee already addressed this when they added specific language to the handbook where it's always been housed, as opposed to revisiting a policy, and that's not how they do it.
Okay. Thank you.
I support that decision.
Okay. Very good. So, we are going to get to you. Trust me.
On
Andy.
Patrick Winter Road. So fire station, police station, the old COA. Old COA is already empty now. Police and fire, they'll be moving out. We're talking about revitalization of the center. What do you guys, what would be the best case scenario for you, those buildings, the uses? Do you think the town should reinvest in them and have them be town property, or do you think we should sell them for commercial use?
Sean, why don't you take this one?
It's a great question. I want to see the center revitalized that brings more people into the center, more community-based uses. That could be a restaurant, because more people in the town, more seeing each other. It could be a teen center. I would love to hear ideas, but I really want to see those put to really good use to revitalize, have some more revenue coming in, and yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. I was going to try more of it.
I think we all agree that, they need to be put to productive use. I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. If we're going to talk specifics, then there's a number of things we could do with those buildings in town center. And, I would never propose to be the one who has to make the decision, the one person. The select board is a body, the town is a body, so on and so forth. But for example, the police station the old police station, which is going to become empty, going to the public safety building, our town hall is busting at the seams. So that could be one potential use for our town hall. It could be a town hall annex, where we would have to retrofit it a little bit, and we'd have to look at those costs, so it's not so cut and dry. But that could be a potential use for the police station. The fire station, once that's empty, that's something probably it makes more sense to sell off. I would love to see like a firehouse brewery or something over there. That would be awesome. Yeah. But I really think that if the town looks to sell that property with some guardrails around it to say, hey, let's sell the property, but this is what more or less what we want to see done with it, that can be packaged as part of the deal. When it comes to the Council on Aging building, we're actually taking presentations right now. So we've got for example, the Pembroke Public Library is interested in it. They're busting at the seams. The Council on Aging building used to be the old library. So that's something that could be an option there. But the Recreation Community Center, Lance just did a great presentation last night, where the Hive, as he called it, and there could be great use there for teens and for adults with seniors that need a little bit extra help. There's a proposal by the town manager should be used as a shared resource. So there's a whole bunch of different places we can go with it. We definitely need to assess what the best use for the buildings are, but I've got some ideas, and I think it's going to be important to be creative. And then you get the Hatch building. We're going to have to work with the school committee on that because they're on the deed. It has to be used for educational purposes, but in reading the deed, there are some things that say the select board has some things to say about it as well, and we'll have to discover that.
Very good. There will be a collection plate later for the Firehouse Brewery. I think it's a great idea. Okay, so you have a question. Yes, that's fine.
Hi, Casey Holland, 27 Bryson Way. It's kind of a long question, so sorry. While I do support the membership into the VOTEC, I want to preface my question with that statement. It's a huge investment for our taxpayers. We all know that the town faced a deficit this year from an educational standpoint, and we had to make cuts to balance that budget. Just for one specific example, like larger classroom sizes. Next year, my daughter will be in a larger classroom than she has been due to some of these cuts. I guess the main question that I have is, how are we going to continue to fund the schools in town to ensure from an infrastructure, which we know a lot of our schools are older. They need work. We know I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with the mold issues. We've talked about the playgrounds and all of the things. Pembroke, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in our schools from an infrastructure and an educational standpoint. I'm not sure that our schools can handle any more cuts from IEPs and all of our other needs that our children have. So we can't continue to ask taxpayers for more money. So if this happens, how are we going to continue to support the needs in our own town?
Okay, thank you. Katrina.
So it's my understanding that with the VOTEC, it would be a cost to taxpayers about $450, $500 a year based on a house assessed at $600,000. And I know that's not nothing. But when I was out in the community meeting with people, Everyone I spoke with said they supported VOTEC, that they understood the cost and they knew that it was something essential for our kids. I don't believe, and it's not my understanding, that if we did get into the VOTEC, that it would take away from our schools. I think it would actually enrich our students and allow them to have another path forward. And there's already things in place, like the HVAC that they're replacing at Hobbamock. That's on the books. We're going to be voting on the Hobbamock playground on Tuesday. Those things are already being looked at. So I don't think we're taking away from one thing to get to another. We're looking to do the override for the taxes to pay for us getting into VOTEC, but I don't see it taking away from our schools.
It's an excellent question, actually, and it's one of the reasons that I initially got involved in the school committee and wanting to run. You are right. She is accurate in her assessment of the costs. I disagree in the sense that this will absolutely impact our students. It will be a rolling impact in the sense that the first year will only have a certain number of students eligible for spots in the VOTEC. The second year will have both freshman and sophomore, third year, et cetera. So we will have opportunity to make adjustments to our class size and enrollment-driven reductions, which they have been making, to try and keep our class sizes in line with our student body numbers. We also have some big things coming up as far as growth for housing, which will help improve our tax base, which is great. We've got some great ideas here as far as increasing our business base for tax growth, which hopefully will help us. That's really the only way we can try to draw more taxes in. We are limited by Proposition 2.5, and we are limited with our long-range planning and what we can save for. The town must spend every year what it spends, and we cannot save. One thing that the school committee does is they do a pre-purchase of special education tuition rates to get a decreased cost on it. You get this year's price for special education at next year's value. You hear that all the time at school committee. So that's one way we save money. But as far as long-term planning, it's difficult. That's where interaction with our state reps, understanding grants and how they work, helps draw money in to allow us to do these kinds of projects. We used ESSER funds to do some of the work that was needed for the mold project. Those were funds that were allocated during COVID that we were able to get grants on, and then we used those funds because they were for air quality to replace some of the units in the schools to improve the drip issues. So long-range planning for schools and for towns is difficult because of the 2.5, but I think that we can do it. We have multiple schools. We can repurpose those schools. We can shift students as necessary. We can do this, Pembroke, and I'm really willing to do the hard work to make it happen.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Does the select board have a role in answering that question?
In VOTEC?
Well, in the costs, how we're going to deal with the budgets.
Well, I mean, yeah,
if they don't, they don't. We can move on.
Yeah, I mean, the school committee is really the one driving this.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that that having a lack of access to VOTEC is a serious problem.
Sure.
And whether the town decides to go with it or not, because there's going to be a major cost to doing it. There's going to be a major cost to not doing it, because kids aren't going to have access to VOTEC education. So one way or the other, we need to find a solution to it. And if it comes down to working with our state legislators, our reps, and working with the state, because the state, they're going to see it from their perspective as we need more people with these kinds of skills as well. And they get paid good, really good money, and they come out with a lot less debt too. So,
Sean?
Yeah, I am 100% behind it. My son is a welder. My porch was built by the VOTEC, Silver Lake VOTEC, when we were still part of it. But it is a burden. It's a burden that might be tough for some in our community to handle. So we do have to get creative and come up with the funds. And it would be great to have a forum on this and hear people's ideas. Maybe we can come up with something to lessen the burden. But I definitely think it's something that Pembroke needs.
Sue, do you want to talk about a forum for education? We're having one, yeah. So last year we had an infrastructure forum. This year we're going to do an education workforce forum. So that'll be around.
Just because I said that, thank you.
You get all the credit.
Ladies and gentlemen,
There you go.
your candidate for Select Board, Sean Keegan. I saw a hand up. Oh, yeah. Tom.
Tom Portoso, 56 Old Carpath Lane. We have 3 young kids, so yeah, the topic of what's going on in the school system is big, but to think outside of myself for the moment, we all love shiny new things, and the community center is great, but there was a cost to that. VOTEC, there's a cost to that. The new safety building, there's a big cost to that, and that's upwards of 3 times the cost of the community center. And I'm just thinking about the seniors in this town, of which there are many. The over 65 population is the fastest growing segment of the population in this country. That's never happened before in this country. It's an issue, and I think I saw that the poverty rate in Pembroke was about 3% in 2020. Now it's about 4.3. That's a 40% increase in the poverty rate in this town. We don't talk about it. So I'm just kind of concerned when you stack the community center costs, the VOTEC, this new safety building, maybe an override or 2 in the next 5 years, how those people might feel left out or really squeezed. And is there a plan to have a centralized place where seniors can look to for any benefit, any break at all, as we march on with new, shiny, cool stuff for the rest of us?
Steve? No, sorry, Sean. Did you want to start?
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just, this is something that I have talked about with some of the people that have been helping me on my campaign. And we have a great council on aging. They do a really good job. But there's a very low percentage of the seniors taking advantage of some of the programs that are out there. We need to do a better job. And I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm not sure if they're not getting the information. We need to do an outreach and find out, and we need to find better ways to get the information out there and get those programs, get more participation in the programs. It's not going to solve all the problems you just mentioned, but it's a good start because there are things to help the seniors in this town.
Steve?
Yeah, so there's some great ideas about that. So number one, we have the new community center. The Council on Aging has moved over into that. So seniors have a lot to access in there as well. Things to keep themselves busy, to meet with other folks from the community, and really stay connected to the community as well. And those services are paid for by the town. And the programs that are available there are only going to increase over time because the community center has been such a successful endeavor. It's looking like it's going to be already approaching creating more revenues than the costs are. So it's in a very strong position right now to continue to expand on that. There's ideas that, again, we have to explore them, but for the old Council on Aging building, whether that's going to expand some of the services available for some seniors who really kind of need some extra services. So we don't know yet if that's the path we're going to go with it, but there are some ideas there as well. Beyond that, it's something that it's really tough right now in Massachusetts. There are a lot of regulations in the state of Massachusetts that are really what's driving this. There's national factors as well, inflation, so on and so forth, but the state level, we really need some changes, our legislators, to help kind of move things in a different direction. At the town level, there's only so much that you can really do. But that's a conversation that we have to continue to have and explore for sure.
Cool, thank you. I saw that hand go up first, I'm sorry. Bob.
Thank you. Bob DeMarzo, Stage Stop Lane. Been a resident since 1977, 48 years. I've seen a lot, and it actually confused me. I thought, besides myself and Vince and Linda Peterson, probably the oldest residents here, and I couldn't understand how Sean came here in 73 before me, and he's much younger. But
I was 8.
I figured it out, yeah. Anyway, we talk about development and the need for tax revenue. Going back, we had 2 organizations in town that helped develop industrial and business development. One was Plymouth County Development Council, which had to do with trying to bring business to all of Plymouth County, Brooks Kelly, and it was in the old box factory. The other, we had a board, Industrial Development Commission. So unlike the planning board, where sometimes they have to wait to somebody to come to them, the Development Council, the Industrial Development Council, was reaching out to people or coming up with ideas or allowing somebody to come to them before the other boards and discuss things and get ideas and say, maybe you need to look at this and so on. But more so, the ability to reach out. Who wants the Hatch building? Who wants the police station? Who wants this? So would either of you consider creating that board again to try to get knowledgeable citizens to develop business in this town.
I went
quick-
first last time, go ahead.
Sure.
Steve.
So, yeah, I mean, the more input, I think a really good place to get input, especially from folks in the town, are these public forums. We got some great, when we were developing the master plan, we did multiple public forums to get a lot of information from the town to pull that in and feed it into the master plan. And we fed into the master plan through our master plan collaboration committee. The one thing that I would say was that maybe it was great to have subject matter.
I really hate to interrupt you, but I'm looking at the time and you haven't closed your speech.
Oh, no, that's true.
So
You're not.
you say yes to Bob. You are interested in...
You telling me to say yes to Bob?
No, you just said it.
You telling me to say yes to
Did
Bob?
you say yes to Bob or no to Bob?
It's, there's more to it, but more or less, yes, we can get input from the town. There's a number of ways we could do that. We have to be careful of over-bureaucratizing it, though, in a nutshell.
Satisfied with that, Bob? Sean?
100% yes. Anybody who thinks they have all the answers is living in a dream world. You need to get input from other people to get good ideas, to get the best ideas. So yes, 100%.
Okay. This is the last question of the night, and please make it a yes/no.
I can't promise that. My name is Cora Pongratz. I live at 120 Lake Street. This question is for anyone who wants to answer, but specifically I would like to hear from the school committee. If you believe pride flags are not political, do you support teachers and other school staff putting up other symbols, for example, a cross, Star of David, straight flag, or other ideological and arguably political statements? And do you believe this would affect a child's opinion on these subjects when they're put up by an authority figure?
I'm not going to ask you, Paige. I'm going to ask you first, Katrina.
I'm happy to answer it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I think comparing the pride flag to religion is comparing apples to oranges, because one is inclusive of everyone, regardless if you are religious, regardless of your political beliefs. I understand that people have sincerely held beliefs and may want to put something on their backpack or wear clothing indicating that, but it's not appropriate for schools. And as I said, the flag is not political because it does not matter what side you're on. It's all inclusive.
Thank you. Paige? Are you related to the questioner?
I am.
Oh, okay,
Although
just checking.
I did not design nor entice the question to be asked.
I'm sure.
For the record. I would like to say again that I believe everyone has the right to pursue happiness in the way they see fit, especially adults. And therefore, I think that the American flag symbolizes that. It should be the only flag in the classroom. And because of the extremist nature of some views associated with the pride flag, it is not my flag. And it does not represent me. I am a Christian. And I faithfully believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior. And I will die believing that. And I do not think that the flag is my flag. So it does not represent me. And therefore, it should not be present and be told by me that it represents me. And I truly, honestly hope that every person in this room understands, believe that you have the right to live the way you see fit, and I have the right to believe what I believe. And that is how it should be. It is not just Christian individuals who do not agree with some of the tenets of the pride flag. There are Muslims and Jews and atheists and lots of people. So, no, there should not be religious flags flying in the school at all.
Thank you, Paige. Right.
I think that we should be able to respond to that as well. It was to anybody who wanted to answer, right?
No, we are, look, we've got a choice here, Steve. We have to be out of here by 8. We've got 3 minutes, and we have
1
2
minute
minutes
each, right?
worth. Exactly.
So give me 30 seconds. So if she asked for anybody who's willing to answer the question.
That is true.
Yes. And so I would say, I think this is part of the issue, right? Is that some people think it's political, some people think it's not political. There's all this heat, and it's all political heat around this issue. This is clearly a political issue. And this is part of the issue as well. And this is why in the ruling of Shurtleff v. Boston, the city of Boston tried to arbitrarily choose what flags it could put up and which ones it couldn't. It wanted to put up, for example, this flag and said, you can't do that flag. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you can't do that. You have to either allow all of them and you have to allow none of them. Now, if you allow all of them, that's a very slippery slope. Just like the example brought up, you have to start allowing some flags that are now religious in nature, potentially. Now you have to start allowing some flags that are really ugly flags that we don't want to see in the schools. And we have to be very careful with that. We have to be careful of the arbitrary choices, so it's safer to allow none of them and stick with the flags that we all identify with.
Where's that bell? Sean, did you want to say something?
Just real quick, it shouldn't be a political issue. It's been turned into one. It shouldn't be political. That's it.
Okay, so Sean, your last words. You have 60 seconds. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. These are the core values of the United States Army, and for the last 30 years, they've been my core values. And I will use these values to guide any decision I make on the Select Board. I don't have all the answers, not yet, and I won't pretend to. What I do have is experience leading teams of men and women, large and small, through peacetime and in war. And over 3 decades, I've learned one very simple but very powerful lesson about leadership. You only need to do 2 things to be a successful leader. Take care of your people and listen to your subject matter experts. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to have the humility to listen and the courage to make the decisions that best serve the people you serve. That's how I will lead. Thank you, and I humbly request for your vote.
Thank you, Sean. Steve, final words.
Yep.
60 seconds, starting.
Oh, I thought you were going to say starting now. Okay, starting.
Okay,
all right, very
let's
good.
go.
So there has been a lot of talk about leadership and balance. Let's focus on that. I've spent my career managing teams in critical industries, overseeing budgets of up to $80 million, comparable to our $75 million town budget. My proven business acumen and leadership is established and something I uniquely bring to the table. Thinking about where we were in 2020 and 2021 versus where we are now, I have worked diligently to return what some might call balance to the Board of Selectmen while helping refocus our priorities. Not only that, but prior to joining the board 3 years ago, I attended a year's worth of meetings, whereas in the past 4 years, my opponent has been completely absent, having attended only 1 or 2, and only very recently after submitting his papers at the 11th hour. Whereas my opponent claims he will bring his brand of leadership and balance to the table, I have actually been here doing the work, establishing proven leadership momentum we've built.
This has been night. I want to thank Local Scene for their tireless efforts behind the scenes. No, he's not coming out for a handshake. So we've got Local Scene to thank. Great job tonight, and I appreciate the time you put into it. So thank you very much, and
thank you for doing a great job.
thank you once.
Did you pay him? He made me say that. I believe it.